Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Our largest single-theme land expansion ever.
Now we want you to share with us our latest and greatest dream.
Matterhorn Matt presents Matterhorn Mondays.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 141 of Matterhorn Mondays, coming to you all live from the Outpost. I say that every week, but it doesn't really have a meaning. What is the Outpost? Anyways. It's going to be a great episode, you guys. I'm joined, as always, by... I kind of messed up that intro really bad. Alex.
You really did.
I messed it up. Alex, it's your turn to say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. I'm your true, real, and honest co-host, Alex the Historian.
Alex.
And I'm the third wheel that keeps everybody on their toes here.
Jeremy. Yeah, you guys, we're back for another episode of Matterhorn Mondays. We're so excited to get into this week's episode for you all. And as you all know, links to all of our socials will be down in the description below. You guys know the drill, as well as links to the Discord. You guys, it's been 141 episodes. You should know by now. Links to everything will be in the description. And if you'd like to be wished a happy birthday live on stream, live on the show, you can do so by clicking the link down below, submitting your name in the Google form, and we will add it to our Matterhorn Mondays birthday calendar. And surprise, surprise, there are no birthdays this week, you guys. Not from this Sunday up until next Saturday. So, yeah, I kind of don't know what to say. There's no birthdays this week.
In the world.
No birthdays in the entire world. Yeah, no one was born.
Not a single one.
Not a single person. It's very surprising, actually. But just in case you slipped under our radar, happy birthday to everybody who did not happen to submit their birthday to our calendar this week. And like I said, link will always be down in the description below for that. And last but not least, if you guys would like to voice your opinion on any of the topics we have at hand, you can do so by calling 575-386-5814, leaving a voicemail. We will be listening to them live throughout the episode. And you guys, Jeremy, were you going to say something?
Oh, no, I was just going to say I'm scared for my life. I don't want to say this, in front of Matt, really, but I have no choice. Matt did threaten my life last night if nobody called in.
I did.
I don't know if he did the same to you, Alex. But he threw a really ugly tantrum. It was
Who do you think told him to do that?
I'm his writer.
Alex is the ring.
I'm the mastermind.
Oh, there it is, you guys. If you don't call in, Jeremy, I hate to say it, Jeremy will not be returning for any future episodes, not just of the show, but of his life. So I hate to say
Hey, you'll fire.
Alex is rejoicing.
As Alex always does. But I pulled through this week, you guys. I have a Snapple for you all. It's been a while since we've had a proper Matt Snaps. This is the plastic one, too, so this will be guaranteed to give us a good snap. This is the Mango Madness Snapple. So let's go ahead and pop this open here for you all. I'm very excited. Oh, that kind of sucked. I didn't get a good grip.
Oh, okay.
It was okay. Not the best snap. There's been better, but we should have like a chart of like the top 5 Matterhorn Matt.
No, we shouldn't.
Bottle snaps. I dropped the thing, the fun fact, the lid. Okay, this is real fact number 720. Fresh apples float because 25% of their volume is air. Guys, did you know that?
Wait, so you did the Matt Snaps without doing the Matt Snaps theme song?
Worth listening.
Once again, time this week for Matterhorn Night Snaps.
All right, guys, I have a great mango Snapple here for you all, and let's go ahead and snap this open.
Nobody
There it
forgives
is.
you. Nobody likes you. Nobody.
I completely
I love how
forgot.
like Matt's life consists of do-overs.
Guys, F in chat for Matt Snaps, please. It's dead, and I'm sorry I killed it once again, but hopefully the previous snap, when I opened it, was good enough for you guys. But that was Matt Snaps, and it's time, everybody, for the fan favorite segment. What is so funny, Jeremy?
I don't know.
It's time for the
I don't
fan
know.
favorite segment, News from the Peak. Oh,
We
there it is.
now present to you news.
I ran it through, you guys. If you were waiting in the stream, you saw me
Aye.
run through it. But
I thought you convinced me your RTX 2070 fixed this problem.
It fixed it a little bit. I still need to figure out why it does that. If any of you guys know why it does that, please.
You got an R2D2? What?
Yeah, my new R2D2 graphics card. Oh my gosh. Well, for our first bit of news from the Peak, new concept art for the brand new Cars retheme for Catastrophe Canyon in Paris has been revealed. And I don't know if you guys have seen this piece of concept art, but this piece of concept art, it's beautiful. It honestly reminds me of like a Thomas Kincaid painting, if you guys know who that artist is. But this is the brand new piece of concept art for the Cars retheme for the Catastrophe Canyon in the Paris parks. And honestly, do we have to continue with the show after looking at this disgusting piece of concept art?
Yes, you're not getting out of it.
Darn it. Well, let's see if I have the full. There we go. There's the full picture. Why is the truck smiling and like have like a joyous expression on him?
Because
when
he's
there's
saying, "Ha,
dan-
I'm in danger."
Yeah. It doesn't
Right, we'll comment on it after.
make a lot of sense. Wow, a Herb Ryman masterpiece.
You know
Yeah.
what that reminds me
That's
of?
funny. That's funny.
That reminds me of way back when I went to MGM Studios at Walt Disney World, and you took the tram tour, and it took you through this like canyon,
That's what this is.
and
Alex.
like. But you said it's at Hollywood Studios. Oh, do they have a similar attraction?
Yeah.
A tram?
Yeah, so
tram
this
tour?
is they have a Catastrophe Canyon, or had a Catastrophe Canyon in Walt Disney Studios in Paris, and they're
Paris.
retheming it to
Cars
this scene
for
is
some
going to be
reason.
part of a Route 66 ride.
Why would they
thing.
keep a tram tour? Why wouldn't they just build a whole new ride? Like, no one likes tram tours anymore. Sorry, Universal.
You know, Alex, your guess is as good as mine, but honestly, I want this piece of artwork framed in my office, in my room, honestly. But for our second bit of news from the Peak, happy to say construction has resumed at the Tokyo Disneyland Resort. Construction for Fantasy Springs, Disney Sea's 8th port, was of course paused when the park closed earlier this year, and construction has begun once again, and Blog Mickey has shared these great pictures. Links will be down below for you all, of some interesting new set pieces for the new land. As you can see here, I believe these are, I'm not sure, I think I read that these are like test walls for like how they want everything to look. So yeah, very excited to have construction resumed on that. And finally, for our last bit of Disney news, if you guys are Phineas and Ferb fans, you guys, the brand new Phineas and Ferb movie, Candace Against the Universe, has been given a Disney Plus release date of August 28th. And the movie does, of course, star the returning cast of the popular Phineas and Ferb TV show. And I didn't know all 4 seasons of the show are available on Disney Plus. So I used to love this show when I was in my adolescent years, I think. I don't know. But yeah, August 28th is when this brand new film, Phineas and Ferb, Candace Against the Universe, will premiere on Disney Plus. And do you guys have any thoughts on any of the topics that we so graciously got for everybody straight from the peak of the Matterhorn?
Yes, I am surprised that Matt thinks that he is out of his adolescent years.
Am I not out of my? What does adolescent mean? Like, what is the?
No. You are.
Okay, I was.
I was just making a joke about how you're still like a kid.
Oh yeah, no, I'm
Someone-
I'm 13. You guys, didn't you know that? That's how old
Yes.
I am. I turned 13 last year and again this year. But Jeremy, do you have any thoughts?
Okay. You know, I don't think the Catastrophe Canyon concept art is like bad. I just think it's funny because it's like so obviously Catastrophe Canyon with like a car's truck there. It's just so hard not to see. I just find it so funny how they think they can get away with these sort of reskins, and they're just so absurdly funny. Do I think a Route 66 kind of like attraction thing is cool? Yeah, I do. And hopefully this scene will integrate well into that concept. It's just this concept art I just find to like they couldn't release any other concept art. Like this is so obviously Catastrophe Canyon that it just makes it funny.
Yeah, and again the smile from he's like happy that he's about to be blown up. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Hopefully it looks better in person, which I highly doubt that it will. I mean, I don't know. There's always the chance that it will look better in person.
Like he is a gas truck. Like he's about to be blown up, and he's just like, "Oh, look, fire!"
Yeah, like
weird.
honestly, I mean, I would have the same expression if I were him, but yeah. That has been this week's news from the Peak. And before we get into any of our main topics, I do have something I'd like to showcase. This comes to us from a user on our Discord server, Redmond. He's a good friend of the channel, and he was so gracious to. I'm not sure if this. I'm pretty sure this was not put together by actual Lego pieces. I think it was used on like a program online. And as we can see here, Mr. Redmond has decided to recreate the Matterhorn Mondays set screen graphics. I don't know what to call it, but it looks real.
Let's call it a set. I like that.
Wow.
Set, the Matterhorn Mondays set. So as you can see here, there's me, and then there's Alex, and then there's Alex and Jeremy. This is honestly one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And Redmond was here in the chat, I think, before the stream started. So if he could give any insight as to how this was done. Again, I'm pretty sure it was used on like a program on the computer, not actual Lego pieces, but I could be wrong. And again, this is just the coolest thing in the entire world.
Like how he's like recreating the backgrounds that we have.
Yeah, it's like that was my you know.
That was the background to my old apartment.
This
now
is
you
the
can
greatest.
relive it.
Yeah, and it's the old layout, but that's I mean that's fine. It's still
What's cool though? He's got the hat underneath the headphones. I wish I could fit my hat underneath my headphones. I really like honestly, if I didn't have to worry about the headphones, I probably would have my hat on.
Your hat on
that way.
Classic.
Yeah, just that. Yeah, that's
Alex,
just that's how I'm recognized.
Wear your headphones so the top headband is covering your eyes, and then cut a hole through that part so you can see like glasses.
Okay, but can we comment on Matt's hair? Matt's Lego hair.
My Lego.
It's like
hair.
Elvis the day before he died.
I mean, excuse me, he's got the Hawaiian shirt on and everything. The glasses aren't really
with the bare chest and.
Yeah, you forgot all the hair that's normally there, but gosh. That's
right.
Anyways, big shout out to Mr. Redmond here again. He's a big member of or one of the members of our Discord server. He was here in the chat right before the stream started. I don't know if he had to dip out, but yeah, big thanks. This is really cool. We appreciate all the pieces of artwork like this. But I think we do have. Before we move on, we do have some voicemails that I'm excited to get to. We have a voicemail from, guys, Michael Eisner himself has decided to ring the Matterhorn Mondays voicemail line and leave a voicemail. So let's go ahead and hear what he has to say. I'm very excited to hear this.
Yeah, so I saw the news from the Peak, and so there's a few things there that are being added to some parks. A little bit off topic, and if it's too off topic, you guys don't have to talk about it, but I'm a big Tron fan, and I know that Tron's coming to Orlando, and I'm on West Coast. So just curious if you guys have ever considered thinking about if there'd be a Tron in Tomorrowland at Disneyland. I personally think it'd be a great fit. I think there's a lot of, interventions down there. You know, the old, now it's launch bay, that's not used for anything. I think they might be planning something, and even just the entire retheme of Tomorrowland, but especially the Tron ride just sounds incredible. I think it would fit well there. So yeah, just curious to see what you guys thought about that. Thanks so much.
Well, it's very interesting that Michael Eisner is calling in as like a fanboy of the parks.
He sounds so young.
Yeah,
I mean, after all these,
young.
he sounds so young.
So young.
Hasn't aged a day. But I feel like in the past we have talked about whether or not Tron would come to Disneyland's Tomorrowland, and there were, I feel like, rumors at some point that was going to happen. I think it was rumored to replace, actually, the Innovations building. But we have no idea whether or not those rumors, those plans, whether they be concrete or not, are still in the works due to the parks being closed for so many months, Disney losing so much money. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say. If you guys have anything you'd like to add to that.
Yes, several months ago, probably almost a year ago now, I was we were on the podcast talking about this same topic about Tomorrowland retheme and all that, and just a quick brief recap about what I was saying was that the connections I had back then were saying that basically there was a complete Tomorrowland retheme that was coming, but it was going to take some time because a whole bunch of other projects were going to happen first, like Fantasyland and all that stuff. But basically, like, the only building that was going to be left untouched was Space Mountain, and then everything was going to be redone. And they were thinking about a Tron themed ride, and a bunch of people were thinking it was going to literally be like another light cycle run. But from what what my connections were telling me was that no, it's not another light cycle run, because they purchased those roller coasters in twos, and they already purchased two. So the Tron attraction that they were thinking of is some other kind of dark ride with a completely different ride system, possibly an entirely new one, but they weren't very specific. And then so that in itself was interesting to hear. But they were thinking about a different way of implementing Tron into Tomorrowland. But like Matt said, with this whole pandemic thing, and maybe those plans were canceled, but we don't know yet, and I haven't heard anything yet. So
we'll never know.
That's really interesting. I sorry, Matt.
That's okay. That's okay. Go ahead.
No, I prefer if they're thinking of another way to use Tron as sort of a dark ride. I think that is better than just doing the light cycle coaster again, because I just think even in Disney World it doesn't. I feel like I'm the only one that feels this way, but I still find it odd how there's just two roller coasters right next to each other. And I feel like it would be even weirder in Disneyland to have like Space Mountain literally like 2 feet away is another roller coaster.
Yeah.
So I would be happy if they used Tron for a new dark ride in that space. That would be great.
Yeah. Plus, I heard that the Space Mountain redo for the new Tomorrowland is supposed to basically be like using the same type of ride system as the, what do they call it? Space Mountain Mission 2 in Paris.
Yeah.
They use like a full train and like full on like loops. Like that's how the new Space Mountain in Disneyland was supposed to be. If they went through with that plan. So that was kind of interesting to hear.
Yeah. So like we said, we have no idea whether or not these plans are still going to be happening, and we'll never know probably until Disney actually announces their plan for a new Tomorrowland in Disneyland, which, will happen within the next 5 to 50 years. We'll see. Anytime between. It could be any time between 5 years and 50 years. But we do have one final voicemail that I'd like to get to before we continue on. This is from Avery. So let's go ahead and hear what Avery has to say.
So firstly, I want to say I hope you listened to my smash voicemails from last week. They are worth listening to. Secondly, I can't believe that Catastrophe Canyon concept art is real. When I first saw that, I thought it was a joke by that WDWNT Twitter parody account. I thought it was a joke at first, and I can't believe it's real. I can't believe it's real. It doesn't look real. It looks really fake, but yeah, I had hope for the attraction when they said that they'll be keeping Catastrophe Canyon in Paris. I had hope, but seeing what they've done to it, no. It's a no for me, dog. It's a no. It's gonna be a no for me. Yeah, I am excited for Phineas and Ferb, too. Phineas and Ferb are making another movie, and it's starring me. And for going to Tokyo Disneyland, I am excited that Rapunzel is finally getting her own attraction. And it's not a bathroom like at Walt Disney World. Like, she deserved a ride. She deserved a ride, not a bathroom.
I mean, bathrooms are cool too. I would be honored to have a restroom or like a bathroom themed after me. But I can understand as well, Rapunzel does deserve her own attraction. And I'm excited to see where that goes in the new Tokyo Disney Sea area. I believe that's what's...
Yeah, can you imagine using a restroom and sitting on a toilet shaped like Matt?
Just my face, you guys. You poop into... We don't have to go into specifics.
We probably shouldn't go into that.
We can just move on, you guys. Anyways, we do have some great main topics that we're excited to get into. Let's go ahead and give a rundown here. Fall 2020 Disney College programs have been suspended. And then, of course, we'll have the COVID rundown of the week, as well as the additional tag headline that we discuss. Actors Equity rejects Walt Disney World coronavirus safety plans for performers. And finally, last but not least, I'm very excited for this week's Attraction Retrospective. Put out the poll on Twitter. You guys voted for it. And I'm not going to lie, I put the graphics in before the poll was finished. So I was banking on this one attraction winning, and we could be completely wrong, honestly. We'll have to check on that here in a second. But yeah, so hopefully...
Checking right now.
Jeremy will check for us then. And for our first bit of news here, our first main topic, like I mentioned, the fall 2020 Disney College programs have been suspended. This comes to us from blogmickey.com as well. Like I said, links to all of these articles will be down in the description below. Disney announced on Thursday that the college programs for fall 2020 at both Walt Disney World and Disneyland resorts would be suspended. In a letter, there's a very lengthy letter as well. We'll show you here on screen. I'm not going to read the whole thing because you guys wouldn't want to hear me, butcher every other word. But as a quick summary here, the letter, Disney stated, quote, many of the buildings within the Disney housing complex have remained closed, and we have not determined when we will reopen them. Those who have guaranteed will be able to reapply for next year's programs, and those who have missed out on the program this year will be updated in the future when the program becomes available. Now, yeah, big F in chat, you guys, for the college program. What do you guys... the college program, very near and dear to my heart. I never did it. I have a few friends who did. I almost did it, but in the end, I couldn't make it happen. But I would like to ask you guys, what do you think the future is for the college program, even though Disney does state that they intend to resume the program in the following years? Do you think this could be a nail in the coffin for Disney's college program? Alex, what do you think?
No, I don't think it'll be a nail in the coffin. I think that Disney will end up resuming college program. Disney really likes doing the college program, although it is very expensive for them, but it provides them a lot of benefits, especially benefits that relate to publicity and stuff like that. It's like it makes them look like a really good company, and things like that. There's a lot of different things with the college program I don't want to get into that makes it, beneficial for them. But, and I mean, I also have to say that I'm also sad for the people who were already signed up and they're not going to be able to do the fall college program and all of that. So, yeah, I'm sad about that. Yeah, I don't know what else I have to say, but yeah.
Rest in peace. Jeremy, what about you?
I guess it makes sense, having a bunch of college kids in housing during a pandemic. I mean, I don't think it's going to be the final nail. I agree. I don't think college program is done forever. It's a very popular program, and even though it is expensive for Disney to maintain, they do make money on it because you still have to pay for housing. And then, but I saw someone on Twitter who was like, listen, I mean, if you want to work at the parks, work at the parks, but it does give an opportunity for someone who's like not in Florida, not in California, to be like, I've always wanted to, work at Disneyland or Disney World, and this is my opportunity to take, 6 months and do that. So I get it. I've always found it a little odd that like they sort of give you the false promise that if you want a career at Disney, you have to start in the college program or else you will never get your foot in the door at Disney. And that's somewhat true. If you even just internships across the board at Disney, it's like, if you don't jump on that opportunity in college, then you can basically never work for Disney, in terms of not in the park. You can work in the parks, but like not in any sort of creative capacity at all. If you don't jump on an Imagineering internship while you're in college, you can't make a late stage career change to be an Imagineer. Not even late stage. I'm 25. I couldn't make that career change because I haven't been in college for 3 years. So there's sort of that's a different conversation altogether. But I am sad for the people who signed up for the college program and they're not able to do that. I know that I wanted to do the college program, but it just never worked out. I just had too much important things to focus on in college that I could never figure out a time to take off a whole semester to do that. And it's also just, on top of paying for college, it was just too much. But yeah, I think it'll come back eventually. It might not be for a few years, but I think it'll come back.
Well, since both of you guys said that you do think it will be coming back, I will be the contrarian here and say, I don't think it's coming back, you guys. College program's done for. Don't get your hopes up for next year. I'm just kidding. It'll probably come back, but I'll just
what I do hope comes back before the college program, and hope maybe even if they have to choose instead of the college program, is the foreign exchange program, because that's what keeps World Showcase feeling alive and authentic. So I hope that makes a comeback.
Disney just announced that they're not going to do that anymore because of like equality and the whole civil rights movement thing. Like they announced a couple weeks ago, the same time that they announced that they are supporting their Black cast members and stuff like that, and the same message, they said that they were going to discontinue the cultural representative thing going on at World Showcase.
I don't believe that was the same message. I believe that was in response to how we have a global pandemic. I don't understand why having cultural representatives from around the world would have anything to do with Black Lives Matter, in the sense that having actual representatives from around the world to represent world culture. But I think that message was, I think, even came before that, because it had to do with just the fact that we have a global pandemic and, we can't have people coming in from around the world, not because they have a problem, but because we have a problem, getting this thing under control. So I think that I'm pretty positive that that's what that announcement was for, in terms of that.
Yeah, I do.
Maybe I read it in the same article, so they just put the two things together, but I don't know.
I do remember skimming something about that, but I can't remember right off the top of my head what exactly it was either. So I guess we'll never know We'll never know, you guys, unless one of you guys in chat decides to look it up for us, because we're lazy. But yeah, like I said, I'll be the one to play devil's advocate here and just say, so if for some reason it happens, then I can go back to this episode and be like, I told you so. I don't think the college program's coming back, you guys. It's going to stay gone forever, but, you know, realistically, it'll probably come back. But is that it for this topic? Do you guys have anything else you'd like to add on to the college program ceasing operations for the 2020, the fall 2020 season in both resorts? Nothing to add? Anything? Nothing?
Just that moment of silence. Okay. We just had a moment of silence for it.
We have a moment of silence for the college program, you guys.
For the college program.
It's never coming back. But on that note, time for our second topic, which of course is the COVID headlines. I always forget the title. Rundown of the week.
Just COVID rundown.
COVID rundown.
This week on Matterhorn Monday, Matt and company continue their reports and discussions on COVID-19 and its impact on the Disney company around the world.
Oh! Matt. Don't even tell him. Let's just say Matt over and over again.
Matt.
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 Matt. Matt.
He doesn't even.
Matt.
Matt.
Oh my god, Matt. I thought you guys were making fun of me.
Oh, we were. No, don't get us. We were. We totally were. But you know, not for the reasons you may have thought.
No, yeah, because I was talking and you guys were like, let's just say Matt and interrupt him while he's talking. And I was like talking over you guys. I was like, wow. Isn't that something? Anyways, it's time for some headlines, you guys. Woohoo, headline time for our first COVID headline rundown here. Walt Disney World cast members blocked out through September of 2020 for theme park access. Now, I'm sure all you cast members working in the Walt Disney World Resort will be absolutely devastated, or will you be? I'd be happy to be blocked out through September 2020. I wouldn't visit if I were, I guess I wouldn't have a choice if I worked for the parks if I wanted to visit because I was working there. Anyways, coming straight down the line, next up, Cirque du Soleil files for bankruptcy protection, terminates 3,500 employees. So that's kind of a big rest in peace for Cirque du Soleil. But then continuing on, next headline here, tickets for Cirque du Soleil's Drawn to Life at Disney Springs now on sale. First performance is scheduled for November 5th. So kind of contradicting headlines there, I guess. They filed for bankruptcy, but the show must go on, you guys. First performance scheduled for November 5th in Disney Springs. Third headline here, in-park dining reservations are now available for select guests at the Walt Disney World Resort. And again, links to all these will be down in the description if you'd like to have more information, because these are just the headlines we're running down. And last but not least, the Tron Light Cycle Run construction attraction roller coaster ride has resumed at the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. I'm sure you guys expected this as well. The park is still set, or the parks are still set to reopen this month. It's already July. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's already July. Parks are set to reopen later this month. Yeah, I'm in disbelief. Not just that the parks are reopening, but that is already July. It feels like just yesterday was March. I was in the other office, and now here I am. Now here we all are. But for our final headline here that we're going to get into more detail, Actors Equity rejects Walt Disney World coronavirus safety plan for performers. Now, the Actors Equity Association has rejected Disney's plans for reopening, citing the lack of testing plans for theme park performers. This is sort of the big thing that a lot of people were discussing on social media throughout the past week. Disney's not going to be providing testing to their cast members. I believe their cast members and their performers. So That is a big part of what the grievance here is as well. Excuse me. In an email to its members, the union stated, quote, Disney knows that testing makes for a safer workplace. Why else would Disney agree to testing for film productions? If testing helps keep a film set safe, then that is also true for performers in the parks. Despite that, we have not reached an agreement with Disney for testing. Now, pause right there. You'd think one of the biggest corporations in the world, with with employees who come in contact with outside guests every second of their job, you'd think that they would provide free testing for their cast members, not just their performers, but the cast members just in general that work in the parks. But according to this article, they have not reached an agreement yet when it comes to free testing for them. So, Jeremy, what are your thoughts on this very bizarre sort of circumstances that Disney has found themselves in?
I don't understand why they wouldn't provide testing for their cast members and especially for their performers. Well, especially for everybody.
Yeah.
A public place like that, it would make total sense to. Listen, Actors Equity is making the right call, and you have to sort of zoom out. And Actors Equity represents any person who acts on a professional stage. So this includes Broadway, which is not opening until the spring of next year. So I totally understand why Actors Equity is saying, look, Broadway's not reopening till spring. I don't understand how theme park can open, basically almost a year before they can, open up theaters. We can't, we don't feel that, you're taking all the necessary safety precautions to ensure reopening this early on. So no, we can't in good conscience let our actors perform in your theme parks for safety reasons. So I think they're totally in the right on this. And I don't understand, first of all, I don't understand why Disney isn't listening to the medical professionals and are just sort of going with the flow of whatever state government they're working within. That sort of says to me that they aren't taking full measures to think about the full safety for their guests, for their cast members. So it's confusing to me. Obviously, it's difficult, but I think Actors Equity is totally in the right, and I'm shocked that Disney isn't taking the fullest safety precautions when it comes to reopening their parks this early on.
Yeah. Like I said, very, very confusing. But Alex, what about you?
I think everybody's forgetting that there's only so many test kits being put out in the whole U.S. per day.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
A couple months ago when Walt Disney World cast members were saying Disney needs to provide us all with testing, I put out I don't know if it was on Twitter, but I commented to people saying, like, at that moment, there was only 4,000 test kits being put out per day. And if you were to use all 4,000 test kits given to the United States per day to test Walt Disney World cast members, it would take 18 months to test all the cast members. Wow. And by then, it doesn't matter because any number of them who've already been tested and are waiting for the rest of the people to get tested could have gotten sick by then. So it's one of those things where it's like you would have to have enough testing kits coming in to the Walt Disney World Resort to test any number of cast members you want. What am I trying to say? You'd have to have, like, let's say you have 1,000 entertainment cast members coming in, right? You would need to have a capacity of 1,000 test kits per month. So that way you can continue testing them. So it's just, and the amount of test kits going into Disney probably isn't that big. There's only like 6,000 test kits currently going around the United States, I believe. So there's just not enough. There's no way that Disney could provide test kits for their cast members, let alone for free.
That's an excellent point. And that just sort of, you can't talk about the sort of COVID related news with Disney without zooming out and talking about the sort of the COVID situation nationwide. And you bring a really good point, but at the same time, because the country is not, pooling all their resources to do mass testing and contact tracing and all of that, Actors Equity is still in the right for saying it's still not safe for our actors to be performing in your parks. And then, which also begs the question, is it actually safe for the parks to reopen this soon? You know? And
Yeah.
we see surges go up every day in Florida. California made the call. No, we were wrong. It's not right for the parks to open at this time. Florida, we've heard it from the governor this last week. He's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
He said it. You know, and I don't want to get too much into the political side, which I'm always more than happy to engage with. But it's hard not to bring that to the conversation. You know, what is the country actually doing? Nothing. I mean, we're the worst. We're handling this the worst than any other country in the modern world. You know, it's shameful. And yeah, it just begs the question, is it actually safe for Walt Disney World to open in less than a week, basically?
Yeah, and Mark makes a great point in the chat as well. He says, mind you, the NBA is also doing a ton of testing at ESPN. So, and I believe I even saw some posts about like a fancy little ring gadget that all the NBA players are supposed to get to like wear on their hands. I think it's supposed to detect the symptoms of COVID, so you can probably like get tested as fast as you can, which is kind of ridiculous. I mean, NBA... I guess it gets kind of confusing when you think about it, because the NBA is going to be resuming. We talked about this, I believe, last week. The NBA will be resuming their season at the worldwide, what is it called? The Wide World of Sports Complex in Walt Disney World in Florida. And so based on that, you'd think that Disney would try to coordinate. I don't know. It's hard to put into words what I'm trying to say. You'd think that the testing for those, for the players and the cast members, would be one and the same, but you have to also remember that the NBA is not owned by Disney. ESPN may be owned by Disney, but the NBA is funded by themselves. They can afford to get all these fancy rings to all their billionaire.
It's also silly because
players.
By the time you even show symptoms of COVID, you've
Yeah.
probably already been infecting people for 2 weeks. And even then, some people don't even show symptoms at all.
Mhm.
So it's like, it's just silliness.
It is a bunch of silliness.
It's extremely complicated. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm interested to see where this story goes, because it's sort of left on a cliffhanger here that they have not received, or that they've not reached. Yeah, they've not received or reached an agreement. Disney has with the unions, and the story continues on here. The union is disturbed that Disney would refuse tests to performers as cases begin to rise at an incredible rate, not just in the country but in Florida alone. They've called on members to speak out against the company on social media to pressure them to include testing of performers in their reopening plans. Yeah, and it does all just come right back to whether or not Disney should reopen their theme parks, not just Disneyland, but, the Magic Kingdom. They postponed Disneyland's opening, which I don't think was necessarily Disney's decision, but Disney's still going forward with their reopening for the Magic Kingdom for all their theme parks in Walt Disney World. And yeah.
Now here's the thing. Yeah. Now here's the thing. It's like Universal's been open for a while. I don't know how. I mean, Florida is not doing well in terms of pooling their resources to do anything about COVID. So I don't know what their contact tracing situation is like. But so far, I don't think we've had any cases tied to Universal. We know there's no significant increase in cases that came from the protests because people adhered to wearing the mask and socially distanced as best as possible. We do know the mask does prevent spread. We know that now. It's a fact. The case study are the protests. People wore masks. Cases did not rise significantly because of the protests. We have the data to back that up. So it is true. If they strictly enforce, it is private property. If they strictly enforce, you have to wear a mask, it is possible that we won't see a significant rise in cases because of the theme parks. That is possible. I will give the parks the benefit of the doubt for that. But at the same time, if the state of Florida does not have the resources to provide testing, especially for the theme park industry, which makes up pretty much all of Central Florida, that's a problem. And I think that does contribute to begging the question of, does that mean it is safe to open if the state can't provide Disney with the tests to make their employees feel safe? Is it right to open?
The correct answer is no, Jeremy. It's not. The correct answer and the only answer, no, they should not be reopening. But, I'm still excited to see how Walt Disney World's reopening is, because they've had the chance to postpone it when Disneyland's got denied, when they decided to not reopen that. It's been like 2 weeks, I feel like 2 weeks probably, since that announcement of Disneyland's postponement to today when we're recording this. And Disney, like I said, they had all the chances to put the pause on the reopening for Walt Disney World, and they have not done that yet. They've sort of dug themselves a grave when it comes to all the the reservations that all the guests have been having to make to get into the park, to get the tickets. So, and I assume that it'd be like a logistical nightmare to just cancel all the reservations that everybody's made.
I agree, but I agree, but at the end of the day, I think public health still outweighs public outrage. It's too severe. We can't go, well, people will get angry, so let's just let this be a public health problem. I just don't think that's the solution.
Isn't that funny? Like, the public likes the idea that that restaurants have regular health inspections, and, so that way you don't get your tacos licked by some, some teenager who's trying to play an online prank. But yet they don't want anyone telling them that they can't stay home to protect the public. It's just weird. Yeah. It's like you want the government to protect you from things that are unhealthy up until it makes you bored. And you're just like, I can't deal with the boredom anymore. It's that doesn't make sense to me.
It's true. And those in power really lead the way. They set the example. So when states rush to reopen, even with, people like me who have been reading very heavily about what's been going on with COVID, you start to psychologically convince yourself that things are getting better. And you start to not wash your hands as much. You start to go out a little bit more. You start to feel like it's okay to go back to normal, because, deep down, that's what we all desperately want, So when those in power lead the way and say, yeah, we're going to reopen, of course, that coping mechanism comes up and goes, ooh, things are coming back to normal. It's okay. But it's not. And it really is up to our governors and even our local governments to take the lead and set the example, and also provide a necessary safety net so that there isn't this national angst of being able to feed your family. And, so anyway, that's a whole other conversation for a completely different podcast. But then again, we live in a time where you can't really ignore the other when talking about something else. Everything relates. So yeah.
Yeah, very well said, Mr. Jeremy. And, we asked this question last week in the last episode as well, and we're going to keep asking this question. What do you guys in the comments in the chat? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think Disney should reopen? Do you think Disney should put a pause on their reopening date for the Walt Disney World Resort? I guess you can sort of fall back to all the parks overseas that have been opening. I haven't heard... I've been on Twitter a lot the past couple months, I guess, and I haven't really heard a lot coming out from those overseas parks as to how their reopenings have gone when it comes to like the logistics of the social distancing, and even just like the amount of cases that might have appeared from the parks as well. So I'm very interested to hear as well, if you guys have any insight on that down below, how those openings have gone, because there has been like no media coverage regarding that, other than just besides like the opening days, the media was there to document that. But I guess Disney is sort of taking those into consideration. But then again, we've been saying that the United States is the worst when it comes to, trying to flatten the curve compared to all these other countries. They've had it under control for probably a good month or so, or under control in quotation marks, I guess is how I should say that, compared to us where, what was it, like 10,000 new cases in one day in Florida? I think it was the other day that was...
Close to, yeah.
So, doesn't make any sense to me, and I think if you guys have any final thoughts on this topic, we can go ahead and continue on here. Yes, no, maybe so. I see in the nod
good
nose.
to move on.
All
No,
right. Okay, well, we promised it, you guys. Shorter episode, and we're delivering because right after we hear a quick message from our sponsors, we're going to be getting right into this week's Attraction Retrospective. And I did double check the attraction I put the graphics up for did win, so I don't have to go back and redo everything, but we're going to be getting into that right after we take a quick break to hear from the show's sponsors. If you guys are wondering where you can find even more family-friendly live streams just like this one, head on over to theliveplace.com. The Live Place is your headquarters for great family-friendly live streams. They cover anything from Disney to other vacation spots, various variety shows, and have some amazing streamers like Resort TV 1 and myself. Also, be sure to check out puckermint.com, where you can find amazing pins and stickers. Puckermint is based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, just a few hours from where I live, and since I'm a big believer in supporting local artists, we decided to partner up. Be sure to use the coupon code down below when you make your next order. Again, that's puckermint.com and puckermint on Instagram. Guys, my hair used to be so short when I recorded that segment there. I don't know, that didn't have anything to do with what we're talking about. I just felt I wanted to make a comment on that. But, you guys, it's time for this week's Attraction Retrospective, and we did put out a poll this morning on Twitter. The username is @MatterhornMatt, of course. Links to everything will be down below, as always. And it was a very close race, you guys. Let me tell you. Carousel of Progress did win out. Went up against Haunted Mansion. Carousel of Progress with a 39.5% vote. Haunted Mansion with 32.6%. And poor Lincoln, great moments with Mr. Lincoln, down to 27% of the votes. So it was a close race, almost exactly 30% each. So that's kind of crazy. A third. I got it right the second time. A third, not a quarter. But yeah, we are, of course, going to be talking about the Carousel of Progress in today's Attraction Retrospective. And this is, of course, a fan favorite. At least for me, I absolutely adore the Carousel of Progress. I'm excited to get into this week's Attraction Retrospective. And I did have a voicemail that I was saving because it kind of pertained to this topic, but kind of didn't. Let's go ahead and listen to this right off the bat here. This is from Brett. Let's hear what he has to say.
Hey, what's up, boys? It's Brett. I think they should put America Sings back in the Carousel Progress building since Splash is going away. Tron would be cool, but I think they can repurpose those animatronics and put them back where they belong. Shoo!
Well, right off the bat there, yeah, that was in voicemail was sent to us when we were talking about the Tron attraction possibly coming to Tomorrowland earlier in the episode. So Brett, of course, gives his great insight. We'll probably refer to that back when we or later on when we get deeper into the discussion here. But the Carousel of Progress, you guys, like I said, fan favorite, and I guess we can sort of start with its history here. This was, of course, created for the 1964-65 New York World's Fair, and as you can see here, was originally titled the General Electric's Progress Land. Not the Carousel of Progress. It was renamed, of course, in 1967 when it moved to Disneyland for its almost permanent home. And renamed to the Carousel of Progress. And it now, of course, does reside in the Magic Kingdom. Moved there 1975. So I will say, just right off the bat, I don't think I ever went on the Carousel of Progress my first trip when I went to the Magic Kingdom. I feel like that was in those sort of younger. It was 2007, I think. So I don't remember how old I was then. But I'm pretty sure it was those years where I was like, oh, I'm too cool for those, lame Carousel of Progress rides. Like probably that and like the People Mover. I was only interested in, I'm sure, like just Space Mountain. No, I think Space Mountain was actually closed that year for refurbishment when we went. So I couldn't even get on that. So, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I didn't go on this attraction up until I think when I graduated high school, we went to the Magic Kingdom for the first time in a while. And that was the first time I remember actually experiencing this attraction other than just like ride-throughs and stuff on YouTube. So yeah, I didn't have any sort of nostalgic connection to this attraction other than just like the nostalgic connection we all have to like these ancient original Disneyland attractions that we all feel like there's like the People Mover, and then there's some others I can't name off the top of my head that we all have that nostalgic connection to, even though some of us have never experienced them. But yeah, Carousel of Progress. I absolutely adore this attraction. The theme song, the Sherman Brothers, which we'll probably touch more on later on when we get into the discussion. A great theme song. But Mr. Alex, let's go ahead and start with you. What are your thoughts here on the Carousel of Progress? When was the first time you wrote it, and what did you think about it when you first wrote it?
I have never wrote it before.
Alex, really? Wow.
Yes, it was under refurbishment when I went to Disney World, and so I never had a chance to go on it. I know we wanted to. We walked up to the building, but it was surrounded in construction walls, so didn't get to do it. But that was before there was like video on YouTube of it, and in the years past, I actually saw like, oh my god, countless videos of the attraction. And to be honest, like, I don't know. I kind of just like, I feel like if it were open right now and I was there, I probably still wouldn't go ride it. As a Disney historian, I know a lot of you right now are furiously typing into the chat.
I just have a smile. On my face.
As a Disney historian, I have a lot of respect for this attraction. I think that if I was alive in the 60s when this attraction came out, I probably would have loved it in the 60s. It would have been amazing to me. But looking at it from a perspective of today and what I expect at a Disney attraction, I don't like it. I don't think it's, I don't know how else to put it, without it sounding terrible, but I didn't waste my time on it. That's the thing, is I just don't like it. But it's also incredibly dated. I feel like most of the reason why people even like this attraction is for two reasons. One, because they saw footage of Walt Disney talking about it. And two is because they've kind of been conditioned to like it, because the whole reason why the Carousel of Progress even went to Disney World was because it had a little bit of popularity left in the 70s, and Disney World really needed a popular attraction in Tomorrowland. And so they brought it there, and Disney has never wanted to even spend the money to upgrade it or replace it. Mm-hmm. And I mean upgrade in the sense that like completely redo the story and the animatronics. But Disney's never wanted to invest money in it like that. And I think so, because it's just been sitting there for decades and decades, people have just been conditioned to go, oh, it's great, it's a classic. And it's like, but is it really great? Is it really? Like, I'm sorry. That was a total tangent. But but yes, I have a lot of respect for the attraction, and I know its advancements and what it's done for our current rides, everything. I can respect a ride without liking it, but I don't like it.
Well, Jeremy, that's a tough act to follow, isn't it? What are your thoughts here on the Carousel of Progress?
Well, I love Carousel of Progress. Alex is allowed to not like it. Obviously, he respects it. He would be a bad historian if he didn't respect it. And he's a great one. So there's that. Happy opposite day. I'm kidding. So
I'll get you for that.
I know you will. I regret saying it. So I do kind of I grew up with Carousel of Progress as it exists now, so I do have that sort of personal nostalgia for it. I find it to be an attraction just personally that gets passed down generation to generation. When I went to Disney World for the first time in 2001, it was sort of, my family was like, "Oh, there's this attraction that exists in Disney World that used to exist in Disneyland called Carousel of Progress," and it was described to me. And so going on it at, like 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old, or 5, 6 years old, actually, it was like experiencing Disney history at a very young age. And I was aware of that at the time. I remember vividly going on it for the first time. However, Alex has a point, as he oft does. It is, I consider the current existence of Carousel of Progress, even the one in the 70s with Now Is the Time, not Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow, I've always considered it to be Carousel of Progress light. And here is why. You see in this photo before you Progress Land. That's because that is of the Progress Land Pavilion, which not only housed Carousel of Progress, but afterward you would, I think, in the World's Fair, you would go and watch a show, an actual like nuclear fusion kind of presentation. But in Disneyland, imagine this. You see the final act, you rotate one more time as it exists today. You're like, okay, I'm waiting for this thing to stop, and we go and exit out and go on the People Mover. Not so fast. Put yourself in 1967. It makes that final rotation from the final act. All of a sudden, on the stage, there's this kaleidoscopic wall leading narrowly into a doorway with a pathway, speed tunnel leading up. That's intriguing. You are invited to come up onto the stage, enter that pathway, go up to the top of the building, and look at this incredible model, a vision of how we can rebuild our cities for the future, for the present. That's the Carousel of Progress. That's thrilling. I've had people describe to me that ending was the most thrilling conclusion of any attraction they've ever experienced. It is participation. It's participatory. That's thrilling to me. I think if I had it my way, I'd put Carousel of Progress back into its original home. It's an amazing structure. If they just sort of, we see how amazing it looks in that picture. It doesn't look so amazing today, but the essence is there. I think you put it back in that building. You put it back in the Carousel Theater. We have a new show. We have a new show showcasing diverse families, different kinds of families going through progress, all kinds of progress. And we conclude with that same invitation to participate, to look and to listen, and to look at how we can rebuild our cities today. Because the way Walt envisioned rebuilding the cities in 1966, all those ideas about renewable energy, cities functioning only on renewable energy, efficient public mass transportation, education systems evolving as each year goes by, all of those ideas are on the table today for how to rebuild our cities.
Yeah.
And they're still controversial. People are scared of these solutions. The Carousel of Progress can be a great attraction, and I think there's a way to do it. But the spirit of Carousel of Progress is to not let it rot in its 1994 version.
Yeah.
It's to look at what the attraction means and go forward. Anyway,
I agree with your statement. I think, well, for one thing, and let me just add before I say anything, that you have an amazing way of getting people excited using your words, getting excited over something so technically boring, but you know, but you have this way of making it sound like so interesting. Like when you were describing the end of it, I was almost like envisioning it in my head, like going up on stage and climbing the stairs, and I'm like, that sounds so fun, you know. But it's just like, oh, here's some stairs, you know. But anyway, yeah. So, but yeah, I agree. I think like I wish that what Disney would do is they would completely just redo the Carousel of Progress. Make it so it still should be a serious look at, you know, technology and progress. But it should be through the eyes of, you know, people today, you know, and how we could improve our technology and our society and our cities. Like that should be, yeah, I agree. It's been the whole message of the Carousel of Progress has just been, you know, put in a Ziploc bag and preserved to the point where now it's just like this, you know, wrinkled corpse of an attraction that just sits there day after day, and people, you know, people just, what's the word, like croon over, you know, the past nostalgia. It's like, no, this attraction is supposed to be about progress, about change. And that's, yeah, I think like, you know, I wouldn't mind if Disney brought it back to Disneyland with a complete redo and, you know, and just stuff about today. I think that would be great. I would change everything I say about Carousel of Progress if they actually kept it updated.
I agree. I'll let Matt talk if he wants to participate in this conversation.
No, yeah,
he's not a host,
guys. I guess you could call me a ghost host because I'm hardly ever talking.
How do I kick him?
Yeah, joke of the show. Anyways, yeah, I feel like a lot of discussion about this attraction does always circle back, as it should, does always circle back to the fact that this ride just does not receive any attention whatsoever from Imagineering. And I'm sure you guys are going to say in the chat, oh, but they're probably planning on doing something with it in the future. You know, there are probably plans to update this attraction for the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World. But, you know,
there's probably plans to demolish it. That's probably the plans.
You know, honestly, I wouldn't put it past them to do that over refurbishing it. But if they, you know, even if they were planning on refurbishing it for the 50th anniversary, that's not going to happen anymore because of the pandemic, all the money Disney's losing. Why would they want to invest, you know, $500,000? I don't know how much it would cost. I'm just going to say $500,000.
Probably
$500,000
more than that.
Probably. Well, I'll just stick with
if they wanted to, you know, do it justice, it would probably cost more than
$2 billion. Redo the Carousel of Progress, Disney. I'll start the GoFundMe. I'll forward 10 of my own dollars. But yeah, you figure it just sucks so bad because, like you guys were saying, this attraction does have the potential to be one of those. It already is a classic, but even more of a classic. But that can reflect its current time as well, because this attraction was made 1964-65 is when this was made, and it's barely been updated even just from then to today. You know, you can point out the examples of how it has been updated, but it's generally been the same concept throughout its entire lifespan of however many years it's been since then. 70 years? I don't know. And it just absolute... I can't do math, Jeremy. Don't look at me like that. But yeah, it just absolutely sucks that this attraction does not receive enough love from Disney. And yeah, well, before we continue on, we do have a couple voicemails that we'd like to get to. This first one here is from Avery. So let's go ahead and take a listen here to what Mr. Avery has to say.
There's a great big beautiful tomorrow, shining at the end of every day. There's a great big beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow is just a dream away. Man had a dream and that's the start. He followed his dream with mind and heart, and when it becomes a reality, it's a dream come true for you and me. So there's a great big beautiful tomorrow, shining at the end of every day. There's a great big beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away. I don't live that far away from the Flushing Meadows Corona Park, where Carousel Progress made its debut, and it's sad that they didn't keep the dome, the GE Dome. It's sad that they demolished it after the World's Fair. They should have kept it. It would have been a nice addition to the park post World's Fair. Really sad. The dome is a very nice design, but I like Carousel Progress in Walt Disney World. It's a classic. The fact that Alex hasn't seen it shocks me. Alex, you need some sarsaparilla.
Oh.
And and here's the obligatory. There's no privacy at all on this place.
Ah.
I just had to say it.
What do you say?
I just had to say it. But it's a classic.
Uncle Orville, there's no privacy at all around this place. And I don't want to.
It does need an update. I do agree. I do think that it needs an update badly. I like a new ending to represent the new century, new era, the changes, because the ending's outdated. But I hope that's going to be a good update. I hope that when they do update, it's going to be great. That's going to be well worth it.
Well, I was surprised Avery didn't continue on singing the rest of the verses. You should have, Avery, but we'll save that for next time, hopefully. But yeah, Avery does make some great points. But before we do continue on, I think, guys, I hate to say it, but it's time for Mr. Alex the Historian to ditch us, you guys. Honestly, he's leaving us for more important things.
Yes, I realized through this whole thing that, Jeremy is not worthy of my presence. And so I must... Oh, yeah, the peasant.
Okay.
The
That's fine. I know the truth. I know the true reason why you're leaving, and I know you were offended by Avery's voicemail. Leave that as a personal conversation for after.
He doesn't know me, No, but in all seriousness,
I'm kidding, Avery. I'm kidding.
But in all seriousness, though, I think if it was open in 2006 when I went, I probably would have wrote it, but I probably would have had the same opinion as I do today, which is that it would have been boring. But yeah, I'm hoping that next year I will be able to visit Walt Disney World for its 50th. If everything is still going okay in terms of pandemic and all that. But I'm hoping to go there next year, and I'm hoping Matt will join me, and I'm hoping Jeremy will join me. And if it's open, I would like to see it with my own eyes. Yeah, so.
All right, well, we're going to continue on the discussion once Mr. Alex leaves here, but thank you for joining us today.
I'm not leaving.
I'm
just kidding. No, I am. Okay. All right. Well, I'll see you all later. Thanks for having me on the show again, guys.
Bye, Alex. See you next week.
Bye.
And now I have
Oh
to
my
fix
god.
all of
Oh my god.
He's only ahead. He's only ahead. Help this poor man. There he is. There's his face. Yeah, Alex does make some great points as well. Wait. There it is. All right. Well, there we go. Just the two of us once again, Mr. Jeremy. What were we talking about? We were talking about Carousel of Progress. That's what we were talking about.
Carousel of Progress.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Avery, for that lovely voicemail. And we do have one more voicemail as well that we'd like to get to here as well. So let's go ahead and hear. It says Browns. Hey guys, that's the transcript. I'm sure it's supposed to say a name. I don't think Browns is a real name. So let's go ahead and hear what this individual has to say about the Carousel of Progress.
Hey, bros. Hey, guys. So here's my thoughts on it. The Carousel Progress gets me a lot because of its, not because of itself, but I think it's because of the song There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow, which is sung by probably one of the greatest guys, the Sherman Brothers. That's the only thing that really gets me is that song because it's used a lot throughout Disney. I don't know what you guys Disney famous song.
I think I think that's Ryan. And Ryan, I think
I do too.
You sort of trailed off there towards the end. So if you would like to resend that, you can. But that's a great transition point. We haven't really discussed the song and the theme song of this attraction.
Yes.
And my Logan's texting me what I want to drink, so I need to say fruit punch, please. And
Yeah,
I'll
fruit
do a
punch.
smile face. I'm hungry, you guys. I had to get that message through. But yeah, let's talk about the theme. Let's talk about both theme songs, because I feel like now is the time. I think that's at least the title of it, is an underrated version of the Carousel of Progress theme, or is an underrated version. I think I was first introduced to it back, it was a while ago. It was when I was first starting to get into like Disney history, and it was the background music that plays in Tomorrowland, because it plays that tune of the Now Is da 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 da. That's one of my favorite songs in the entire Tomorrow. Yes, it's one of
my bad electronic Tomorrowland music impersonation.
It was probably better than mine would have been. But that's one of my favorite songs in that entire Tomorrowland area loop. And that was my first introduction to that version of the song. Of course, Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow is the superior version. There's really I don't think, any debate as to, the two of them, whichever reigns above the other. But yeah, the theme song for this attraction is always one of the takeaways for when people ride it. I remember when we first rode it a few years ago when we went to the Magic Kingdom, my parents, the first thing that they said when they walked off the ride was like, oh, the theme song was real cute. The Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. I love the theme song. And yeah, I feel like when it comes to musical sort of theme songs for attractions, Carousel of Progress is definitely up there. If you were to rank some of the other if you would rank like Pirates of the Caribbean, Pirates Life for Me would probably be another one that you could compare it against. Different people that composed those two themes, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, Carousel of Progress is definitely up there when it comes to the theme songs for both of them. I can't stress how underrated Now Is the Time, or I can't remember the name of the song. But Jeremy, what are your thoughts on the theme song for the Carousel of Progress?
I mean, it's the Sherman Brothers. It's great. It is the attraction. There's a great big beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. That is the ride, and how that song is sung in transition from as time goes on. I believe The Best Time of Your Life was incorporated at the request of General Electric, if I have this correct. I'm not sure. I'm just functioning off of things that I've read a long time ago that are just popping up in my head. I believe it was done at the request of General Electric to focus on why now is the best time to buy a washing machine. I don't know what they were thinking. So I think they wanted that to be the sort of thematic idea of Carousel of Progress when it went to Florida. But Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow to me encapsulates better the ideas of Carousel of Progress, that there's always something worth working toward, as opposed to just being like, oh, now's good. But, General Electric wants to sell washing machines, they care about the language. So yeah, I don't want to, I mean, General Electric, we can, talk bad about them today, but I don't want to talk bad about their mindset back then, if that was their mindset or not. But I do like the song, and the Sherman Brothers were tasked with taking one of their most famous songs and making it work, and they made it work. Yeah. Although I will say, the first time I learned that they changed the theme song to Carousel of Progress, I literally felt like I was listening to an alternative universe of Carousel of Progress.
Like a Mandela effect kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I could have sworn it was Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. No, it never was. No. So, yeah, this is such a great attraction. And I think one of the interesting things is John Hench had a huge hand. I would consider this a Hench and Walt attraction, a collaboration between the two. And when they were figuring out ways to partner with General Electric to do a pavilion at the World's Fair, John Hench was sort of struggling to figure out what to conceptualize, what to do. And Walt saw a production of Our Town, which is a play, a great play, which is very meta, and it has, it's hard to explain if you don't know, but a lot of the town steps forward and does stuff like talk about, the town and the goings on in the town, like direct address to the audience. This is a poor explanation. I could explain it far better, but and so that was sort of a spark for Walt and John Hench to be like, ooh, this is a good sort of structural format. Oh, the weather's good today. It's the 4th of July. This is going on. This person down the street is doing that. So that was sort of how that concept came to pass, which I think worked really well and can work even better. I think they can lean more into the sort of Our Town feel for a future Carousel of Progress. Yeah, it's a great one. What can I say?
Yeah, and before we do have 2 more voicemails in the queue here that I'd like to get to, but before we do that, I think the one thing we haven't talked about when it comes to the Carousel of Progress is the theater itself. The rotating theater, Carousel Theater, which is still there in Disneyland today. Well, I have no idea if it still works, but I guess just the general concept of using a rotating theater like this for an attraction is a really great way to sort of frame, Jeremy was mentioning this earlier, the little scenes, great way to frame that, and it's a great way to, I believe it's a great way to sort of up the capacity of the attraction. I'm not an engineer when it comes to like wait times and stuff like that, but from what I've been hearing, like bits and pieces just over the years, I think from what I remember, the rotating theater is a great way to eat up a lot of people. Crowd goes in, rotates, crowd comes out, and then crowd goes back in again, and then does that every... How long is the ride? Probably like 15
to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
With a post-show, though, it could be up to 30. So
I didn't get to say this earlier, but I would absolutely kill to be able to experience that post-show in Disneyland. I don't know what I would do.
Take anyone else. Spare me.
Yeah,
as in, don't kill me, because I would be right there with you.
We'll stick with Alex since he's not not very fond of the ride. Alex will be the one to go. Jeremy and I will go back in time, leave him behind. It really sucks that there's like no footage like existing of that and speed ramp.
Limited. There's some in some Wonderful World of Disney. When they were promoting 67 Tomorrowland, you see very slight footage of that post-show. It was just unearthed a little bit on Twitter. Some circles. Someone actually found footage of rotating to the kaleidoscope, pathway hall to the post-show, which was a monumental find in terms of preserving that attraction.
There's got to be one laying around somewhere in someone's attic.
Maybe. I hope.
There's one person at least who decided to. In the archives. But Jeremy, what are your thoughts
speaking
on the theater? Sorry.
That's okay. I should let you talk. The theater also, like the song, is the attraction. I mean, it's the whole concept. I mean, John Hench goes into the sort of design principles about why that is such an effective mechanism. It was mainly because he viewed it as a weenie, and I hate using that word. I say that every time. But, I feel like if there's a new viewer and I say weenie, I am obligated to explain what it is. All it means is interesting landmark that makes you go from a distance to go, oh, I want to go there. Okay, we got that settled. Walt invented it. It had something to do with dogs and they like sausage. I don't know. Okay. I'm done with that. Okay. So he viewed it as an effective way to draw in people because you could see from a distance, ooh, what's that interesting structure? And as you get a little bit closer, oh, wow, it's moving. And it draws you in. He also said it was a good way to tell the public psychologically this attraction is working and it's open.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? But also, why it works thematically with the ride is the idea of progress. I don't want to read too much into it, but, it's a full circle. And, by the time you are done with the attraction, you've made a full revolution. So it's the ideas of progress. It's the ideas of pursuing new ideas. It's great. It is so needed today in a new, fresh way. I love this ride.
And it absolutely sucks that this building is just rotting away in Tomorrowland, you guys. That's the worst part of it all. I'm happy that it went on to live a semi, I won't call it a happy life. It went on to live, I guess it's still living a life. It's still living its life out in the Florida heat, but our version here is just in shambles, you guys. Literally, I'm sure bits and pieces have been crumbling off of I think I've even seen pictures of like crumbling off the very tippy top of the roof. And who even knows if it's still functional, if it can still rotate. I remember they tried to keep it rotating for the Innoventions sort of area, which didn't.
They did, and it rotated for. Innoventions had a really cool pre-show, and then you got in there and you were like, why am I watching a TiVo demonstration? It was outdated on day one. But the pre-show was pretty cool.
Yeah, rest in peace to our version. It'll, like we've been saying, I think we've said this in the past a few times as well. I don't think this ride will ever make its return to Disneyland. The show building is
but we can imagine.
We can hope, you guys. If anyone has a time machine, please. I would love to go back in time to experience this, but yeah, the show building is just takes up too much real estate, and then is it even worth it at that point to have that big of a show building for this? Alex is not a big fan, so I guess a lot of people aren't necessarily big fans of this attraction. It's one of the ones where you can just sort of sit and like take a nap on in the air conditioning, which is a plus. That's not the only thing it's good for, but it's good for that at least. I guess we can sort of end off right there, get to some voicemails. Carousel of Progress, you guys, if you've not had the chance to, because I could talk about this ride for a while, but if you guys have not had the chance to experience this attraction, I would highly encourage you, maybe in like half a year or a year from now, to go to Walt Disney World, experience this attraction. Sit 6 seats away from the next person next to you if you have to, wear a mask. Hopefully things will be under control by the time you eventually get to experience this ride. But I would highly encourage you. I feel like Martin Vids would probably have one of those detailed histories about this attraction. If not, then that's one of the ones he should probably get to. So there's lots of ride-throughs as well that you guys can watch online to experience it. But it's voicemail time, you guys. And we do have a follow-up voicemail here from Mr. Jared, following up on his very quiet.
Was it Jared?
Yeah. Wait, it didn't actually say. I'm assuming it's Jared. He didn't say his name here.
I thought it was either Jared or Ryan. I
Jared or
tell.
Ryan. Yeah, I think it's Jared. But nonetheless, I don't know what word to use. Let's go ahead and listen to what Mr. Jared probably has to say here.
Sorry, Matt. I wanted to say one of their best, I guess it's one of the best Disney songs out there. I think it's their anthem. If you want to know a fun fact, the Sherman Brothers were even known for creating the Spectrum song for Disney's Wonderful World of Color. So yeah, I'll be continuing to watch the stream too. So yeah.
Thank you for the follow-up there. Potentially Jared, potentially someone else. We appreciate the voicemail. And one final voicemail here. This is kind of a lengthy voicemail, but I previewed it, and I'm excited to hear what... I believe his name is Josh. It says Josh here in the transcript, but the transcript is often wrong. So let's go ahead and hear what Mr. Josh has to say here.
Hey, Matt. Hey, Jeremy. And the illustrious Alex. This is Josh calling from Tennessee. I'm a huge fan of your show. But I wanted to touch upon the topic of the Carousel of Progress. I love the ideas that you guys proposed because, honestly, I think that we need to have a more forward-thinking and more positive idea of what the future could be. In this case, Walt himself gave the idea of a beautiful future in his concept of Epcot and futures that ended up getting us to the moon, and even to the point of us possibly going to Mars itself. But honestly, as a person who likes technology and also likes Disney history and also wanted to initially go on the Carousel of Progress, when I went back, I believe it was 2007, 2008-ish. The only reason I know is because I had an afro during that time. I wanted to go on it out of curiosity because I didn't know what it was. I'm mad at myself for never getting the guts up to go ahead and do it. But at this point, it is what it is. But I hope that I can at least see something like this in the future. People need something like this to help them understand about this world, our society, and what we can do together to create something better. I hope that you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll be in touch. Consider this the first of many times that I'll probably dial in. As you said, have a great big beautiful tomorrow. And always go to the
Wow, thank you.
Hey.
Josh, you have a very
thank you, Josh.
Soothing voice. I enjoyed listening to that voicemail. Thank you for calling in. There's some great insight as well. Jeremy, what do you have to say for Mr. Josh there, the lovely voicemail that he left for us?
I'm happy. Oh my God.
It's not me. It's not me. It's him.
How do I kick myself out of this? I'm happy. That there's not this minority of people really anymore in the public in general, and also the Disney fan community that are considered like purists. I've never considered myself a purist, but that are actually saying the times we're in. Again, what I was saying earlier, you can't just sort of ignore the times and talk about Disney. It's impossible. There's so much going on in the world, and we all feel this call to participate, whether it's COVID, whether it's civil rights, whether it's anything, that I feel now more than ever, Disney needs to look back to their legacy, look back what they do well, and say, we're actually masters at helping the public participate in our problems. People care more about public health than they ever used to, more about climate change than they ever used to, more about authentically sharing world culture than they ever used to. Let's look, what is Disney's infrastructure? All of that. What is Disney's history? All of that. And they can do it better than anybody else. I've always said there is no theme park in the world like Epcot. Why on earth would they want to make it like every other theme park? Makes no sense to me. So I agree with you, Josh. Thank you so much for your call. And I've been reading articles. I've been hearing more and more people actually talking about this and not degrading people as sort of pure, dismissing people. I don't want to say, no one's degraded. I don't feel degraded. No, dismissing people as purists because they think theme parks can be about more than promoting movies. So I'm happy that this has become a more serious part of the discourse. And it's not serious. It's inspiring. The carousel of progress that I just described, that can be a potential carousel of progress for the future, excites me. Maybe it's, I'm biased. It was my, idea, but I find that exciting. If I was a kid, I'd be excited by that. I think the public would be excited by that. Yeah. I don't think there's an excuse anymore to think the public doesn't want to participate in our times. And I think Disneyland and the Disney parks led the way on that in the past. They can lead the way on that for the future.
Yeah, really well said, Jeremy. And it's really, it doesn't make any sense to me either because people already visit these Disney theme parks. Millions of people visit, every year. They could put an attraction like that, what we're talking about, replace Carousel of Progress, update Carousel of Progress to make it more about these more relevant issues that we're discussing. People will visit because people already visit the original Carousel of Progress. People already visit, the Magic Kingdom. People already visit Disneyland if they would want to put it there. I don't know. But I feel like Disney could do a lot of good if they were to actually, they have the creative people, I'm sure, to help put this, make this concept a reality. And I do feel like people would be very interested if, Disney, one of the biggest, corporations in the entire world, unveiled this new Carousel of Progress, updated Carousel of Progress attraction that did, touch on these issues that we're facing today in an entertaining way. Like, Carousel of Progress is already entertaining as it is. It's honestly a no-brainer for me, and it does kind of baffle me as to why Disney hasn't done that kind of thing yet. But, here's to hoping. I don't think it will, I hate to say it, I don't think it'll happen. At least not for the Carousel of Progress. Maybe a brand new attraction in Epcot, hopefully. But
hey, I'm all for it.
Yeah, but just not, I don't think the Carousel of Progress is going to be updated to that. It's already losing its luster as it is over the years. It's lost a large majority of its luster already as it is. But here's to hoping, at least, for maybe a future attraction, maybe an up-and-coming Imagineer will pioneer this idea, similar to, I guess sort of going back, Tony Baxter pioneered a lot of great attractions back in his day. We need more creative voices, more storytellers like that in today's Imagineering, and I have faith. I do have faith that Disney can put an attraction like this together. Maybe not in the near future, maybe 50 years from now, once, the world is already burning and it's too late. But you never know. You never know, you guys. But again, thank you, Mr. Josh, for that great voicemail. Yeah, sounded like he was like talking to us on a professional microphone. But I think that is going to wrap up this week's episode of Matterhorn Mondays. I'd love to hear what you guys... Oh my gosh, bless you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. Have you been on the Carousel of Progress, whether it be the Disneyland version or the Magic Kingdom version? What did you think about it? Would you like to see it updated? I'm sure we'd all love to see the Carousel of Progress updated, as soon as possible. What are your guys' ideas on how the Carousel of Progress can be updated to fit this new world that we're living in? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. But as always, links to all of our social media will be down in the description, as well as links to all of the news articles that we refer to. They're always in the description as well. And you guys don't have to only leave voicemails during the show. I hope you guys know that as well. I try to reiterate this as much as I can. 575-386-5814. If you're listening maybe on your drive home on Wednesday, if you're listening maybe with your family Friday evening, ring us up if you have something you'd like to be vocal about. We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on everything. But you can also use the comments. But, like we said, Jeremy, he's getting the axe if you guys don't call in and leave any voicemails this next week. So it's up to you whether or not Jeremy survives the week on the week.
Matt, he says that very calmly now, but on the phone it's verbal abuse. I don't know how else to describe it.
That's neither here nor there. But Jeremy, do you have any closing thoughts you'd like to wish the audience before we sign off?
Wear a mask. Listen to medical professionals.
I thought there was
no
going to
three,
be
just
okay,
two.
Just okay. I concur. Wear a mask, you guys. Stay inside. Don't go to restaurants. Why would you ever want to sit down at a restaurant when you can Postmates your food straight to your living room? I made the same joke last week, but I'm doing it again this week because it's true, you guys. Stay home. Do as much as you can to help flatten the curve. And yeah, as always, like I said, links will be down below. And as always, have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.